Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me here today. As you can see, I am going through a rebranding, a facelift, whatever you want to call it, where the visual is all new. So I have updated my website as I've rolled out this new online portal that we have access to now. Through public registration, participation through the membership community. It's so exciting to me to be able to roll this out to you. And so with this rollout, I've decided that my website needed to be updated and have a brand new look. And probably next year, I will be going through another upgrade and another rebranding, as I will be needing to change platforms in order to continue to grow myself and also my offerings for you. So I hope you enjoy the new look and the experience. For those of you that have joined my membership community, thank you so much. And those of you that have reached out and offered your support, I so greatly appreciate it. As I mentioned in my video with my beautiful sister Light Annie, this has been a labor of love for 17 months, probably longer than that in its conceptual stages, as I've had to go through the process of trying to determine how I wanted this to flow and how I wanted it to look. And of course, as usual, just as I've gotten it done and I've put this together and rolled it out to the public for the community offering, I am now being given new visions for upgraded potential for this platform. So I'm very excited to see where this goes, because as we know, Ascension is not going to end or slow down anytime soon. Once all of the shenanery that's taking place in our current existence, reality is slowing down and shifting, we will be focusing more on community and forging new communities and increasing our light quotient within our field so that we can continue to expand our consciousness and remember who we are. And that's really the purpose of my community, is helping you to remember who you are. I don't want you to be me, and I don't want you to be anybody else. I want you to be you. And I want to help you to remember the greatness that you are, that you have always been and maybe have forgotten. So that's part of the reason for the community. The one of the questions that I was just recently asked is about myself and how did I get to this level, and also how do I know what I know? Okay, I am definitely not book read. I'm not. I don't spend time reading tons and tons of books, although I have had tons and tons of books that when I let go of my office about 3 years ago, I gave everything in my office away, because of course that is a part of stepping up into a greater spiritual alignment. We downsize and we just give away all our possessions. And I did that. I gave away thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of crystals and books and spiritual tools and everything else. But, you know, for me, and some of you might identify with this, for me, I would feel called to a book in the bookstore, and I would, or on Amazon, I would buy it, and I would put it on my bookshelf, really excited that I had gotten it, anxious to read it, and then found that I never read it. And it was almost as if I was reading it by osmosis. So in other words, just the action of buying the book and holding it in my hands was the intention for me to download and receive that information from my universe. How many of you out there can identify with that? And I'm sure you're doing it and may not even be aware and just think you're not reading any of your books, but that's not how it works. So there's always a portal that opens within us, a gateway that opens within us, and we receive those downloads, which then helps us navigate our path in a better way, or perhaps it helps us find healing modalities, or maybe mentors or teachers that we've had along the way. I know that's been the case for me many times. When I had cancer in 2000, I found myself being led by the Pleiadians, and I hadn't really worked with them very much, to some of the first people that I mentored with. And then from there, it was the Arcturians, and that activated my Arcturian self, which that pushed me into Reiki in 2005, I think it was. And then I became certified as a Reiki master teacher within a year. And I was already doing Reiki set up in an office and working in 2005. I went for level 1 and 2, and that was it. Boom, got activated, because that's what Reiki is. It's an activator, and got activated. And that was how I embarked on my spiritual journey. But I've always been led by a higher source within me. So first it was my Pleiadian aspect, and then it was my Arcturian aspect. And then the Syrians caught up with me. And when it was time for me to really jump in as a spiritual teacher, as a way shower for Ascension, the Syrians showed up, and they were the no nonsense, get her done attitude. And so then they were pushing me forward into the next levels of my awakened awareness. And then and that was all since 2000. This was all happening since 2000. And then fast forward to 2015, October 2015, for 3 months, right up until January 1st, January 1st of 2016, I was in bed for 3 months with a template wipe. I was going through a transformation. I didn't even know my name at that point. I could not get off the pillow. I did not feel like doing anything, didn't feel like eating. All I basically did was sleep. And I was married at the time, going through a divorce, and my ex kept saying, "You sure you don't want to go to the hospital?" And I was like, nope, something is upgrading. I could feel it. Something is upgrading. And before that, I was never ever sick a day in my life. And I was down with the flu 3 times, and, you know, flu, frequency light upgrades, right? It's a spiritual transformation, the spiritual flu. And so that was the process that I was going through. And then with that template wipe in 2015, it allowed the light to start pouring in for Aluna, who was my 5th dimensional higher self, very fairy, heart-centered love energy, unconditional love energy coming through. And Aluna came down the Ascension column as I was meditating and going up the Ascension column one day. She came down and met me, and this effervescent golden light just exploded around us. And I heard her come down. And as she was coming down, it was like this very fairy-like voice going, "Wee!" And I was like, "Who is that?" And normally I would pop out of a meditation upon hearing something like that or feeling something like that, but I was able to stay in this meditation. And she said, "Me." And I said, "Who's me?" And she said, "A lunar and creator consciousness." And I thought, oh my God, that's my higher self coming down. And I said, "But who are you?" And she said, "I am you, you are me, we are we," as she continued to come down and drop in. So that was my first experience with the higher self back in 2017 in October. And then in 2019, in August, I was visiting my brother in North Carolina, and I was standing on the sidewalk. We had a wonderful day in Asheville, and you know, Asheville is very spiritual Mecca. And I was standing on the curb, and the next thing I know, I go straight over onto my left side, just fell over, didn't even see it coming, didn't feel it coming. It was like a template wipe, like an embodiment. Boom, down I go. And I wasn't hurt in any way, shape, or form. I fell right on my shoulder. Wasn't hurt in any way, shape, or form. Everybody was freaking out. They're like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." Felt very, very dizzy afterwards, couldn't figure out what was happening to me. And I was actually going through an upgrade. I was leaving the next day, got back to New York. And then for 4 days, I was in bed again, another template wipe, couldn't get out of bed, didn't want to eat, could barely make it to the bathroom. I was just down for the count again. And I knew that these were serious upgrades that I was going through. And at the end of the fourth day, I had a Naburian council member step up to me with a string of rose quartz crystal beads and put it around my neck and say, "Well done, Faith, well done. Welcome, welcome, well done." And I was like, Faith, who's Faith? And in that moment, the words were frequency activator, intermediary, transcending humanity. And then it took me a while to understand and process that Faith was a new aspect of myself that was igniting in the process of me becoming me. And so with this new aspect of me, I still didn't fully understand it, but I knew that all of a sudden I was doing things frequency wise in ways that I had not done before. And everything was changing for me as this new aspect of myself was starting to manage my day-to-day with my thought process and aligning me into higher ways of thinking, which is really what my work is based on now. And just recently, I have become strongly aware that faith actually represents a ninth dimensional oversoul consciousness that is mine. So as you can see from what I'm saying, I have gone through being Pleiadian, being Arcturian, right? The Arcturian makes me a very good mediator. It makes me a good counselor for situations, a very good teacher, a healer. It makes me very focused on higher learning, which is why I love to teach more than anything. And so then of course, the Syrians came in, and my Syrian nature was the getter done. So it helped me stop procrastinating. So when that activated, I stopped procrastinating and I started just jumping into the work, which is probably the concept for my website's new community platform got birthed during that time. As I had been making notes in my awareness of all the things that I loved about everybody else's platforms of teaching that I wanted to incorporate in mine. And then I just kind of started to conceptualize that all together. And then after that, it was a Luna coming in to expand my heart consciousness and to open up that pathway for me for higher awareness, higher levels, connecting in. And then, of course, Faith came in, and Faith brought me this next highest level aspect. And then in between all of those was another higher self aspect by the name of Stellaria that had come in between Aluna and Faith. And that higher self aspect is the cosmic part of me that's aligned with the stargates, that works the stargates, that communes with Solaris, the sun, and gets the downloads of the information coming through the consciousness of the embodiment of Stellaria. But right now it's mostly Faith that is running my show or my operation. So when information is coming through, more than not, it is the aspect of Faith that you are hearing, seeing, engaging in. And so what I'm basically showing you is we are everything, right? And I have known myself to be what is called a hybrid human for a very long time. It's been in my awareness, and now it's becoming more of my awareness to know myself as a hybrid human, having DNA from many, many galactic races, maybe the best parts of the DNA from those races that give me the opportunity to do the work that I do and bring the information through that I bring through for you. So I just wanted to share a little bit about who I am and how I got here so that you could understand why it was so important for me to put this membership community together and give Ascension a platform for coming together for community as we move forward through the deconstruction of this third dimension, fourth dimension reality breaking down, we're going to start seeing new communities popping up as people are going to start recognizing that the families that they were born into are not always our soul family. And so we will start to see people coming together through the soul family groups, through the soul family connections. And that's going to be a very important part of this soul journey that we are on. This ascension process is not going to slow down. And the reason for that, obviously, is because our physical vessel has to catch up in its lightness to our consciousness. Right? Our consciousness is way ahead of our physical vessel. It's light years ahead of our physical vessel. So now it's time for the physical vessel to go through its activations and elevation. And many of you are feeling that in what would be called ascension symptoms. Now, I don't like the word ascension symptoms. I prefer the word ascension upgrades or DNA upgrades, because upgrades is a higher fifth dimensional word. Symptoms is a lower 3D word, which aligns us with victimhood. So I like to use the word upgrades, because upgrades are that higher consciousness activation, and we're actually taking in what is happening in our field in a more higher aligned state. Okay, so if you're using the word symptoms, try to switch over to upgrades, because I guarantee you the minute that you transfer to upgrades, it will make your process of going through the upgrade so much smoother, so much easier, and so much better. And probably you will evolve into your phases in a easier transition, in a easier way of transcending than anything that comes from the lower distorted 3D, 4D matrix. Okay, so because right now it's very important for us to be conscious of all of this. And why is that? Because we are again having major solar activity as we're in solar maximum. And as we've seen with the last few days, the CMEs, the coronal mass ejections, are super duper heightened. There's literally no getting away from these higher states, these higher activations of light frequency. Okay, so we have to take it in with grace and hopefully with ease, and everything that we can do to make that process or transcendence easier is in our best interest. Because these coronal mass ejections, these CMEs, or solar storms or solar winds, whatever comes through solar is consciousness expanding, because it happens to be photonic light, you know, these cosmic rays coming from the sun, coming through the great central sun, right? And so when we look at this, we have to see that this is happening for our expansion, for our consciousness expansion. Now, I went through years of having these massive headaches and migraines and eye strain and eye aches and neck pressure, because in the back of the neck, in the occipital area, is where the light codes enter. And so that area on us will literally get bombarded by light frequency, light codes, and then the energies that are naturally or natural to that area will become imbalanced, right? So when they're imbalanced, it takes a while for them to get in balance again. How do we get in balance quickly? We get in bed and just rest. And I know that's hard for a lot of people right now, but this is one of the ways that we're clearing heavy duty guilt program and shame programs, right? Needing to rest or take a cat nap. People have always looked at that, you know, from a standpoint of there's something wrong if you need a cat nap, or there's something wrong if you need to lay down in the middle of the day. But yet we have to, because that's how we're upgrading our light body. And our bed is our light pod. So it's very important for us to jump in that bed and make sure that we're you know, getting the rest that we need, and also staying hydrated, because we're in heavy duty plasma, and plasma energy is just a step above water. And what are we mostly made of? Water. And so what do you think we're breathing in when we're breathing in the air? We're breathing in mostly plasma, which is why so many are having such issues with breathing these days, because we're breathing in massive amounts of plasma light as our lungs are having to change. We're growing new glands on the sides of our neck. Our solar plexus is growing a new gland. Our sacral area is growing a new gland. So and also it's in my awareness that our sinus areas are growing new glands. Okay. So our body is restructuring. It's morphing into something greater, into higher light frequencies. We just have to roll with that, and we have to be okay with what is presenting in our reality and try not to get in our head about it, because when we get in our head, we're stopping our process. We're going into resistance. And when we go into resistance, we are going to feel pain and we are going to suffer, because that's what resistance equals: pain and suffering. Okay. So over these next few weeks, as these energies really amplify and intensify, please make the time to rest. We're probably going to go through another timeline split in October. Right now, dream state should be very wild and feel like you're on a very wild ride as you're waking up, and maybe you're feeling so fatigued, foggy, groggy, remembering a dream that feels like you've been on a wild roller coaster, and it doesn't make any sense, because it's got like bits and pieces from, maybe 20 years ago, and then things that you've never remembered experiencing in your reality. Okay. This is where it's very important to let go of the dream meaning. We can't hold on anymore. There's no good interpretation anymore, because we're not in that 3D matrix. We're not in that state where we can, look at dreams and interpret dreams from that perspective, because every dream is a timeline now. So last night I was in a dream again for the third day in a row, where I'm clearing timelines associated with my corporate jobs, all corporate jobs that I've ever held. Now, I left corporate in 2008, right? I started Reiki training in 2005, left in 2008 to do this work on a full-time basis. Went into this full-time, okay? And left that corporate job, but I have been in corporate since 1984, 85, maybe 85. I had been in corporate 85, probably around there. And so anything that I have accumulated, and we have to remember, for every choice we make in our reality, the choices that we didn't make that are attached to the decision that we had to make are still playing out on other timelines in other parallel realities. So those choices that we didn't make are still out there. We're clearing those parallel realities in our dream state, which is why dreams can feel so confusing. Last night and the last 3 days, I was in the corporate world. Now, I haven't had a dream about my corporate background in years and years and years. And yet last night, there I was in my corporate self, in meetings, getting on an elevator with a whole bunch of people that I used to work with. Very, very interesting times that we're in right now. Also, I was talking to some people last night in my dream, and I was supposed to get my hair cut with somebody, and I'm like, I don't remember them being a hairdresser or a barber. I remember them being a DJ. And so it's interesting, because not only am I in a parallel reality, just like you are in dream state, but I'm also experiencing that individual in one of their parallel realities, where maybe they didn't become a DJ and they became a barber or a hairdresser. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? So we cannot look at dreams the way that we've used to look at dreams. Throw your dream interpretation books out the window, because they cannot be applied any longer. It just cannot happen. Okay. So we have to look at all of this as happening for our highest best good, because guess what? This is how we are clearing our path in our reality, in our present state of being. This is how we're clearing our path for our best life. And our only job is to stay as present as we possibly can. and not get caught up in all of the dreams and what do they mean and why am I dreaming about this, or I'm dreaming about that, or I close my eyes at night to lay down and I see bombers flying through the air going someplace. What does that mean? Who cares? Let it go. It's a timeline. Let it go. It's not happening in your immediate reality. Let it go. If it's not happening in your immediate reality and you are not a physical witness to it, let it go. Do not get caught up in it. Thank yourself when you wake up for clearing those heavily distorted Armageddon timelines that you have yet to release, that are only being released now through this upsurgency of what we're seeing playing out in this reality that is no longer our reality. It is attached and associated with the third dimension and the fourth dimension. But if you do not recognize that you do not have to play in it, you are going to think that you do, and you're going to watch it implode. And that is not a good thing, because as you are watching and witnessing it implode, you're staying tethered to that timeline. So if you are staying tethered to that timeline, your opportunity for pain and suffering is going to be greater, because there is pain and suffering associated with the third and fourth dimension. I really hope this makes sense. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here because I have to move on with my day. I have client sessions, but I wanted to give you an update on the energies and how to navigate them and how to not get caught up in what is playing out that is not for us who are conscious to bear witness to. If it's not happening in your present reality, if it's not happening right in front of you and you are not a witness to it in your present reality, it is not true for you. Okay, do not take it in. This is how we play now. This is how we flow. Okay, and if you like this content, this is what we do in my mastery membership class. All right, so I can only do so much here on my YouTubes. I can't make these hour-long videos because, trust me, nobody will want to watch them. But in the class participation allows you to ask questions. It allows you to break out whatever is transpiring for you and bring it to the forefront so we can look at it and see what is taking place. That's what this community is all about, so that you have a better ability or opportunity to experience yourself and your reality as you are creating it in each moment. Okay, so once again, thank you so much, all my new subscribers. I so appreciate your joining my YouTube channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To those of you who have been with me, thank you so much for your continued support. It means so much to me. It helps me to continue to co-create with my universe and bring the highest information through accessing the highest states of my own creator consciousness for you in all that comes through me. And so I thank you again to those of you that have reached out for me, wishing me lots of luck and success. And to those of you that have actually joined my community, yay, I'm so excited. I'm looking forward to connecting with you in our first class together, which will be this coming Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that our friends and family in other areas overseas can join us live for the live. So thank you so much. I wish you a wonderful whatever it is that you're doing. Know that I love you unconditionally through infinity and beyond, always, always holding you in the highest. And whether or not you actually drop a comment or post a like, I am holding you in the highest love. So may your day be the most magical, special day ever, no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing. Know that I love you. Let us do this in all magical ways together. Remember that you are more amazing than you know yourself to be. I love you. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.